Hold on tight. This is the Generic Live Show.
And now the official results of the Australian Marriage Law Postal Survey. For the national result, yes responses, 7,817,247, representing 61.6% of clear responses. That's 61.6% of clear responses were yes. No responses, 4,873,987, representing 38.4% of clear responses. That's 38.4% of clear responses were no. A further 36,686 responses were unclear, representing 0.2% of total responses. At a state and territory level, every state and territory recorded a majority yes result. Every state and territory recorded a majority yes result over 60%, with the exception of New South Wales, which recorded a majority yes result of 57.8%. ACT had the highest majority yes at 74%. And
that is... thanks for joining us here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday. It's Dale Campbell here with you. That there was the official, result of the Australian Same-Sex Marriage Postal Survey, an adventure. There's just another stage in the adventure for the right for marriage equality. That is just amazing, and we talked about this last hour as well, but it just, you kind of have to go, we got this far, and I was actually having a conversation with someone today about this. It's kind of like, and my point was, what the plebiscite would have told us the same thing. Opinion polls tell us the same thing here. Why did we need to spend $122 million, that's million with an M, on a postal survey that would have told us the same thing as this same-sex marriage plebiscite? I don't understand. It is baffling to me, but it's here, and Malcom has says overwhelming result means Parliament needs to act now and get on with legislating. Actually, we'll hear more from the Prime Minister because last hour he got cut off. We'll play his speech in full detail in just a moment. Here, but he has said on radio, he said on record, and I think he says it in this clip here, this needs to be sorted by Christmas. So we could have marriage equality in Australia by Christmas time. But I feel like when this does happen, I feel like doing a special comment because I can't fit all of this in a segment. And I might actually bring on friend of the show, friend of mine, friend of yours, Maddie Benedetti, either back on the show or in that special comment, because she was here when the same-sex marriage plebiscite, the first idea of it, came to light. And the fact that got bounced around and got rejected, and the survey got picked up and got through a resounding yes, and now that we're in the Senate arguments and the religious freedom stuff is also holding up, kind of a fun thing. Well, not a kind of a fun thing, but it's kind of holding up this kind of process because people are like, hang on a minute, we didn't do this. Why are you doing this to us? What are you doing? So it kind of, is holding up the process a little, but the Prime Minister wants this done by Christmas. Here is Prime Minister of Australia, Malcom Turnbull.
And they have voted overwhelmingly yes for marriage equality. They voted yes for fairness. They voted yes for commitment. They voted yes for love. And now it is up to us, here in the Parliament of Australia, to get on with it. To get on with the job the Australian people have tasked us to do and get this done this year before Christmas. That must be our commitment. We asked the Australian people for their view. This was an unprecedented exercise in democracy. A voluntary survey, a voluntary postal survey in which 80% participated, and over 61%, 61.6% have said yes. That is an overwhelming participation rate and an overwhelming yes vote. Now, I know that many people, a minority obviously, voted no. But we are a fair nation. There is nothing more Australian than a fair go. There is nothing more Australian than equality and mutual respect. And everyone has had their say. That's what we pledged at the last election. Many people stood in our way. The Labor Party, a number of people on the crossbench and others. They didn't want Australians to have their say. We did. And it is a great credit to Matthias Cormann that he was able to put together this ABS postal survey. A great credit to him, a great credit to the ABS and the officers of the Australian Electoral Commission that assisted them to have this done so efficiently, so comprehensively, so emphatically. And I say to all Australians, whatever your views on this issue may be, we must respect the voice of the people. We asked them for their opinion and they have given it to us. It is unequivocal. It is overwhelming. They are our masters, we who are elected to Parliament. It is our job now to get on with it. Get on with it and get this done. It's fair. The people have voted yes for marriage equality. Now it's our job to deliver it.
That is Malcolm Turnbull there talking straight after the responses for the same-sex marriage survey. Now, I will repeat this argument like me and Matty Benedetti made the point when we were talking about the first plebiscite back last year in 2016. Understandably, there are opinion polls that have reflected the result of this postal survey, but it's also another case of, you know, it's another case of kind of going, well, why not have a free vote in Parliament to kind of allow same-sex marriage like in other places, like, I don't know, the rest of the world. But the point is, there is some credit now that we're on the other side of the same-sex marriage survey for allowing Australians to have their say, but it's kind of like, well, Australians are having their say in opinion polls. You could just promote opinion polls and have them kind of faced off, if that makes sense. So, I don't know. It's still weird to me, and this again is only one stepping stone in the adventure. So we're going to hear from both sides, the yes and the no campaign. Starting with the no campaign, we're going to hear from Lyle Shelton congratulating on the yes campaign, but he is from the no campaign, so here he is.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate the yes campaign for their victory today. It's been decisive, and I congratulate them on the campaign that they have won. For us here in the no camp, obviously it's a disappointment, but despite the valiant effort of so many of the people in this room here today and thousands of volunteers right around the country, grassroots people who supported us with donations, we haven't quite got to where we wanted to go, but that's the result and the verdict the Australian people have delivered. I just want to thank our volunteers and our team for their work. I think you have showed great commitment in this campaign. You have helped convince at least 1 million Australians to come our way in this vote. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get over the line, but it's been a valiant effort, and I want to thank all the people in this room and all the people right around Australia who got behind the campaign that says it's okay to say no.
That is no campaigner Lyle Shelton there. Now we're going to hear from Penny Wong, who is a spokesperson for the Yes campaign.
For the national results.
Thank you, Australia. Thank you for standing up for fairness. Thank you for standing up for equality. Thank you for standing up for gay and lesbian Australians, the LGBTIQ community everywhere. Thank you for standing up for our families. Thank you for standing up for the sort of Australia we believe in. An Australia that is decent, an Australia that is fair, an Australia which is accepting, an Australia which turns its back on exclusion and division. Thank you, Australia. And now Australians have done their part. It's time for the Parliament to do our part. And together we will. Together, this group gathered here today from across the political spectrum, we will do our part. And I hope that everyone in this Parliament has heard the resounding voice of the Australian people today. A mandate for change, a mandate for fairness, a mandate for equality, because it is time. It is time to change the marriage law. It is time to remove discrimination. It is time for equality. Final comment I want to make is this, and that's to our community, the LGBTIQ community across Australia. You didn't want this process, and it has been really hard for many of you. I know that because I've moved around the country and spoken to many of you. And I hope from this you can take a message of solidarity, of support, of decency from your fellow Australians.
So that was Senator Penny Wong, who was a spokesperson for the Yes campaign. Now let's break down these results, and apologies if this is sounding very familiar from the first hour, but we've got people joining us for the second hour. You know, it's a huge story. So there's that. So nationally, the question that was sent out to millions across this fine land of Down Under: should the law be changed to allow same-sex couples to marry? Nationally, 62% said yes, 38% said no. New South Wales had 58% yes, 42% no. Victoria had 65% yes, 35% no. Queensland had 61% yes, 39% no. West Australia had 64% yes, 36% no. South Australia had 62% yes, 38% no. Tasmania had 64, 36. That's yes, no, respectively. Australian Capital Territory had 74, 26. That's 74 yes, 26 no. And Northern Territory had 61, 39 to the yes. 39 to the yes. Now, and there were websites out there shaming, like straight out there, shaming the no. There was the whole thing of here's the territories that kind of went no. Now, but I do want to play this audio here from ABC's election analyst Anthony Green, who explains why New South Wales as a collective voted no in this state election. It's got to be with kind of more demographics to me, and they're kind of convenience issues is also what he talks about in this audio. So here is election analyst Anthony Green.
In most cases, the result is as you would expect. The yes vote was very high in inner city electorates, and it faded away to be lower in rural electorates. It was lower in outer suburban areas, lower in regional areas, and highest in inner city seats. But there were a couple of pockets in Sydney and Melbourne where there was a very strong no vote. Most of them in Labor electorates, but the key attribute of them was their electorates with very high proportions of people from a non-English speaking background who've come from a culture where debates on same-sex marriage and homosexuality have not been common in politics.
So that is certainly true. The more outside of the city you get into the more rural areas is definitely a very, very good point. And you see that in every election as well, is kind of those sort of voters tend to kind of move away from these sort of issues. And it's also kind of, again, more so the convenience issue of this is really important. It is very important, but many people don't view it as the same. And like the clip from the ABS said earlier, it's kind of like the areas, the non-English speaking areas and the cultural areas where homosexuality is definitely they come from places where homosexuality is still illegal. So that's definitely not a conversation that they would want to attach themselves to. And with the informal or donkey votes being at 0.2%, it kind of it still kind of works in a lot of ways. So there is that. So that's our election on the same-sex marriage postal survey. Till next time in this episode of Australia's journey to same-sex marriage. As we continue here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday, where we ask the very important question: how does politics and bad decisions starved New York subways? Sound confused? As you should be. I don't know, as you should be. As we continue here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday, it's Dale Campbell here with you. We're doing it for Geeko. Thanks for joining us. It's 11:20. I blanked out there for a second.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is JD from How It Stacks, here to talk to you about ProXPN. It is a private VPN, which basically means it is going to mask your IP address, protecting your data. So if you're out on the interwebs doing things you might not need to be doing, or if you're banking online overseas, it will help mask your data and keep it completely private. And you can do this for only $6.25 a month regularly, or you can use Geek20 for 20% off. So it's a pretty stellar deal, guys. And I'm just going to be honest, with all of the stuff that we've had going on, it's a good idea to invest in something like ProXPN.com. So I am JD, and I approve this message.
This podcast is proudly sponsored by Amazon. Amazon has all of your needs for all occasions. Amazon stocks a large range of pretty much everything. Everything from automotive to baby to computers, payment cards, groceries, health and personal care, and everything for Amazon Kindles, ebooks, movies and television, magazines, office products, and stuff for your patio, lawn, and garden. Hey, they even sell sports goods. If you're into sports ball. If you're ready to check out the range at Amazon.com, use geek-io.net/Amazon to help out the Geek.io podcast network. We get a little bit of a kickback through our affiliate link there. That's geek-io.net/Amazon. Amazon. Everything for every
This Geek.io
occasion.
podcast network program is sponsored by
Audible. The official
slogan for Amazon. Some products not available in all areas.
They're the leaders in digital audiobooks on the internet. Choose from over 100,000 titles across all types of literature, including fiction, non-fiction, and periodicals. Try Audible.com now and get your first 30 days of Audible Listener Gold membership plan for free. That's right, free, which includes one audiobook credit per month. After your 30-day trial, your membership will renew for just $14.95 per month, so you can continue to receive your audiobook credit per month, plus members-only discounts on all audio purchases. If audiobooks aren't quite your thing, well, that's okay. Audible also have a variety of radio and TV programs and audio versions of magazines and newspapers. There's something for everyone. Check out geek-io.net/Audible for all of the details. And we thank Audible for their support of the Geek.io podcast network.
We're here to give you a big dose of genericness. This is the Generic Live Show.
Thanks for joining us here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday. It's Dale Campbell here with you. We're doing it for Geek.io. Thanks for joining us. I don't know if I've mentioned this hour, but it's my birthday! Yay! First hour was really riddled with it, but now that it's it still counts. It's still 11:24. It still counts, right? Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, right. There's that. Thanks for joining us here on the Geek.io Show. Whether you're listening to us live at twitch.tv/Geek.io Show, you can give us a follow. #follow us for free. You know, we have bits. You can give us some bits, throw us your bits. You can even drop a little subscription. Every month for all of the great content we have and all of the shows on the network there as well. Hashtag every little bit helps as I drop everything in the studio, because that's apparently a thing I do. Or at patreon.com/Geek.io Show, tinyurl.com/GenericLive store. There's lots of ways you can help out the network, but lots of ways you can help out the New York subways, on the other hand. Wow! Segway of the century, segment of the century. Doodah. Now that I've ruined it by singing, but anyway, now I've ruined the joke. The New York Times went on this investigative journalism tirade that went a little something like this. It involved that, so there you go. That's me live in studio. You never knew this. Just in studio, just bashing out these keys in this order. Although I did used to play piano, so that is not too far from the truth. So politics and bad decisions, how they have starved New York's subways. So basically, the gist of this, it's really good. It's a good read. It's basically my recommendation to go read this article more so than anything else. And it's kind of basically talking about how a failed system is based off decisions of people in power. So, and it's a really good read. It's bad that there's that sort of stuff. So, a rush hour Q train careered off the rails in southern Brooklyn. A track fire on the A line in Manhattan. The F train stalled in a midtown tunnel, leaving hundreds in the dark without air conditioning for an hour. Oh boy. Excuse me. They talk about the various injuries and that sort of thing. I want to talk about this chart though. So, ridership steadily rose from 92 to 08. So ridership rose from 0 all the way up 77%. And then maintenance started to drop. So ridership kind of went down, and then it's now up to 6% in 2012. And on-time performance steadily. Okay, never mind. So here it's through to 16. Sorry. So ridership is up 77% in 2016 compared to 92. Maintenance is they spend plus 6% more time on it. On-time performance has declined 26% since 1992. So I just want to put that there in the chat. I just want to put something in the chat so all of that link isn't showing for the entire video. So they stripped a 1.5 billion, that's billion with a B, from MTA by repeatedly diverting tax revenues embarked for the subways and also determining large payments for financial advice. So they also go on to talk about the lines specifically. So decline performance in every single line. So this is super local, but it works. It's a really good read. So More than 90% of trains received their destinations on time, on most subway lines in 2007. 10 years later, that figure is less than 70%. So, 2007, the one line at 93 to 68. Two line is down to 32%. This is performance. 32%. Then 52 on the 3, 33 on the 4, 34 on the 5, 50 on the 6, down to 76 on the 7, and they hover around low 30s. And the L line, for whatever reason, is still up at 92. So I don't know what the L line. I don't know what the L line represents. But a steep decline in cash also doesn't help, apparently, according to the New York Times. The New York subway system has always struggled to get money that it needs. Decades of cost-cutting and deferred maintenance led the darkest days in the history of the 113-year-old system. The crisis in the 70s, when the subway became a symbol of urban decay. So, there you go. And then the mayor that's come in has never, since 1970, has kind of declined it. They also talk about how getting less and borrowing more for repairs, so not bringing in the money and then kind of borrowing it for urgent repairs. That's also, they talk about that in this article as well. And a kind of a state piggy bank that always gets squeezed as well. That's I could dig into this article, but I thought this is Dale brings articles for other people to read to the table. But it is a good read, and I kind of like stories like this because I'm a person who frequently uses public transport, and a person that kind of uses public transport. And we've just gotten little cards that you can put money on for public transport. You know, we call them go cards, and you can they're little like plastic credit card looking things, and you can put money on there for your buses and your trains and that sort of thing. But we only have buses up here, so use them for the bus and you don't have to worry about it. We just got it, and the rest of Australia has had them for years, and we've just got them. So, you know, public transport, and particularly buses and rail, have really struggled to keep up with demand as well. You got to think of that as well. There's no demand as well, so there is that. As we continue here on the Jerk Live Show for a Sunday, well, the lead guitarist for AC/DC, Malcolm Young, has passed away. Music icons remember him. And also, what do aliens and techno music have in common this week? You'll find out. All this and more coming up next on the Jerk Live Show with Dale Campbell. Thanks for joining us. It's 11:32.
This Geek.io Podcast Network program is sponsored by Audible. They're the leaders in digital audiobooks on the internet. Choose from over 100,000 titles across all types of literature, including fiction, non-fiction, and periodicals. Try audible.com now and get your first 30 days of Audible Listener Gold membership plan for free. That's right, free, which includes one audiobook credit per month. After your 30-day trial, your membership will renew for just $14.95 per month, so you can continue to receive your audiobook credit per month, plus members-only discounts on all audio purchases. If audiobooks aren't quite your thing, well, that's okay. Audible also have a variety of radio and TV programs and audio versions of magazines and newspapers. There's something for everyone. Check out geek-io.net/audible for all of the details. And we thank Audible for their support of the Geek.io Podcast Network.
I got bad news for you. Your t-shirt sucks. You should take it off and buy a new one. And the best place to buy a new t-shirt is www.geek-io.net/tfury. Because I can have a t-shirt, you can have a t-shirt, but you better not get it from anywhere else but T-Fury. I am JD, and I approve this message.
8 out of 10 fictional doctors say that you should start your day the generic live show way. This is the Generic Live Show. Thanks for joining us here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday. It's Dale Campbell here with you. We're doing it for Geeko. Thanks for joining us. We had a little bit of a technical hiccup there. We do apologise for that, but thanks for joining us. Regardless, we're here again. Thanks for joining us. You know, it happens. Technical hiccups. You can't avoid them. This music's pretty good. I like this. Alright. Thanks for joining us. So, musical icon Malcolm Young, not Neil Young, not Neil Diamond, but Malcolm Young from AC/DC, the lead guitarist, and oftentimes known as the best rhythm guitarist that rock people have seen. Rock people, you know, rock people. What is wrong with me? Rock people. Them rock people. Rock is not a genre I'm familiar with much, let alone classic rock. But anyway, Jimmy Barnes and Keith Urban both have said that Malcolm Young is the best rhythm guitarist that they've seen, as tributes for Australian music icon Malcolm Young, he dies at age 64 from early onset of dementia. Young, who is known for his powerhouse riffs and rhythm guitar that propelled the Sydney group into the world of stardom, died on Saturday afternoon. So yesterday afternoon. Where am I going? Oh, I'm skipping ahead. I'm already reading the article about aliens and techno, what they have to do with each other. Australian rocker Barnes said Young was, quote, the greatest rhythm guitarist player ever, unquote, and extended his condolences to his brother and fellow AC/DC member Angus Young. Number one in the chat room is schooling me. I should be saying rock and roll, not classic rock. I do apologise. It's a sad day for music, Burns posted on Twitter. Australian country music star Urban said he was devastated by Young's death. Quote, for me personally, the greatest rhythm guitarist of all time, Urban tweeted. Quote, thank you, Malcolm, for all of your spirit and fire and passion, ferocity, gravitas, and all of your ethereal inspiration. Eddie Van Halen was among the large cohort of international rock greats who have also paid homage to Neil Young online. I keep saying Neil Young. Not Neil Young. It's Malcolm Young. Malcolm Young was a friend of mine and my heart and soul of AC/DC, Van Halen says. Quote, I have had some of the best times of my life with him in our 1984 Europe tour. He will be missed, and my deepest condolences to his family, bandmates, and friends. So there you go. We got other people who said tribute. Ozzy Osbourne, Motley Crue, co-founder of Nikki Sixx with 2 X's, Rage Against the Machine, Axeman Tom Morello, and Kiss frontman Paul Stanley. But no, Young wasn't in the band. I said Neil Young. It was replaced by his nephew Stevie for ACD's last tour, promoting the 2014 album Rock or Bust after dementia forced him into retirement. He died peacefully on Saturday. Formed in so some background on some AC/DC. If you're not familiar for who they are, you can get schooled with me. Yay! They are a Australian rock and roll band formed by Malcolm and Angus Young, 1973, out of Sydney, who they pumped out music all of the time during that time, like Powerage, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, which say that 10 times fast and you'll be amazing. The band survived the 1980 death of frontman Bon Scott, returning with the classic Back in Black, which remains to be their second best-selling album of all time, with an estimated 50,000 copies sold worldwide. So Angus shared the sad news on Facebook, this morning. Quote, take two. As his brother, it is hard to express in words what is meant during my life. The bond we had was unique and very special, he posted. He has left behind an enormous legacy that will live on forever. Malcom, job well done. So, there you go. That is sad. I know who AC/DC is, and I remember listening to some of their music, but I don't remember. I wasn't I wouldn't say I was a fan girl of theirs, but I definitely knew their music, and I still think Thunderstruck is still that song is really good. If you're gonna listen to a song, Thunderstruck. Play that underneath the new segment of the show that kind of went awry in the first hour. But yeah, you can do that. So look up AC/DC, give them a spin, and do that. But don't blast them in outer space. But I'm full of segues. Yay! It was a good idea to... Now, here's a question you don't hear every day. Ask yourself this question. Here's a good question for you. Was it a good idea to beam our best techno in an alien world? Was it? Was it really? In the year 2030, a powerful radio transmission organizing from Earth will arrive at a potentially habitable exoplanet located approximately 12.4 light years away. Impressive. Should any alien intelligence be there to receive it, they are in for quite a treat. Turns out they sent the Chainsmokers. The Chainsmokers have been put in a ship and sent away. See, I can make a Chainsmokers reference because I'm young. They sent away the Chainsmokers. The Chainsmokers are gone in a jet. That selfie and that closer song just zoom in space. they put on their unicorn booties and they are gone. The fact they had that still handy is pretty good. Great treat. This binary system of data contains short musical clips from some of the world's best electronic musicians. If this article dare say the Chainsmokers, I am done with this show. I'm done with this show. 3 days in October, organizers of the Spanish Solar Electronic Music Festivals pointed at the 32-meter wide European Incoherent Scatter Scientific Association. What? We're full of weird organization names today. That one more time is the European Incoherent Scatter Scientific Association. Uniformly known as ESCAT. So it's definitely not DIZ, J-I-Z. Radio headed towards the sky and sent bursts of radio signals towards the GJ273, a red dwarf star known as Latent Star that hosts 2 known planets that may be capable of supporting life. It's like moving house across town, right? 12.4 million light years away, and people still think the world's flat. Ha! With the help of astronomers from METI, Messages to Extraterrestrial Intelligence, and the Science Studies of Català, IEEC, the Solar team, be named digitally, included clips of music such as artists Attitude, Holy Maron, Jean-Michel Jarre, Modest Skeletor, Mad Moss, Code 9, and Laurel Halo. Thank God there was no Chainsmokers in there. No Chainsmokers. This show is safe. There is no Chainsmokers that are being sent to other planets. I mean, that's a good thing and a bad thing. A, because they'd be off Earth, and B, We don't want that disease spreading. No chain smokers. That might be in the summary. No chain smokers. I don't want them to come after me though. That's the thing. In April 2018, that will do it again. Sending 15 tracks from some of the 33 artists who were taking part in the festival. No chain smokers. You can listen to the 10-second long tracks beamed during the first transmission here. Oh, okay. Let's see if this is a good idea. Solar calling. Oh god, this website is all in a language I don't know what it is. So it had to be Spanish. I'm assuming. I'm navigating a Spanish site that I don't know. Okay. Oh, here we go. This is the 10-second clip. Alright. I mean, that sounds like something in reverse. So that was from 16th of the 10th, 2017. How about some Code 9? This will end well. This will end real well. Actually, no. This is a 10-second clip. Right. Oh God! Oh dear God! No! Oh! Right in my ear holes when I'm not expecting it. Oh, gross. Okay, let's try this again. Oh, that's creepy. That's really creepy. Oh, okay. Moving off that very quickly. How about this Laurel Halo? What's she up to? Is she whispering into our ear holes too? What? Please say. Okay. Wait. Is she the one saving us, or are we? What are we doing here? What about the Black Madonna? How about the Black Madonna? The Black Madonna. How about it?
We await the days with relish that somebody dares to make a dance record that consists of nothing more than an electronically programmed bass drum beat that continues playing the chords monotonously for 8 minutes.
What? Okay, I feel like this is a post-show exploration. But we're sending things in outer space. We're sending clips of techno songs to outer space to see if there's life on another planet, I suppose. 12 light years away for some reason. Called Sonia's Calling, the project is a, quote, celebration of artistic scientific experiment and a collective reflection to open to humans and extraterrestrials, according to the festival's website. So this festival is legitimately designed to gather people around. Oh, stop that! To gather people around to record second snaps of that. That's really cool, actually. Some of the stuff's creepy, but it's really cool. So each contributing artist had to compose and specifically prepare their music for transmission. Given the very slow data transmission rate of 500 bits per second, you can give us 500 bits per second too. That's about 250,000 times slower than an MP3 playback. God! And the musician will require to compose a brief 10-second long pieces at very low digital quality. For audio files among oh god, that sounds dirty. It was a PCM encoding with only 8 bits in mono. Oh god, that sounds painful. But that's a cool concept. I don't know how. I really want to. Does this say
Music into space.
Ah, this actually does explain more. So we'll listen to this to kind of recap this.
Now celebrate its 25th anniversary. The festival turns its
25th
antennas upwards, sending music into space in an attempt to make first contact with an alien civilization.
Huh. Okay.
I'm the president of METI, an organization dedicated to messaging extraterrestrial intelligence.
Thanks to sonar, and for the first time in the history of humanity, 3 transmissions have been sent to a specific and potentially habitable exoplanet, CJ273b, circling a red dwarf called Luyten star, just 12.4 light years from Earth.
Only, by the way, I like that, only located 12.7 million light years away. He continues.
Pieces of music of 10 seconds each, created specially for the occasion by a selection of artists close to the festival. In April 2018, Sonar will send 15 more musical pieces from a selected group of artists. And this second set of transmissions will also be open to your participation, because it'll include 3 selected musical pieces created by our audience.
Huh, okay. So it's a music festival broadcasted to space. Huh. Alright, but is it a good idea? Is it a good idea? Is it a good idea? I think it's now that I've learnt more about it, I thought it was less of that and more of just randomly throwing things in space, but knowing that there's a thing behind it, that's cool. That's very cool. Huh. Alright. Well, did you know we're sending music into outer space? No, you didn't. As we continue, here on the Jack Live Show, for a Sunday, you learn something new every day. Here at GLS HQ, just doing our jobs. But we'll also tell you there's a particular beverage that men are now drinking. More so than what they ever did before. As we continue, here on the Jack Live Show, for a Sunday, it's Dale Campbell here with you. It's 11:52.
This Geeko Podcast Network is proudly sponsored by Think Geek. Think Geek is the biggest online retailer of all things geeky. That's right, everything geeky. And they stock the biggest brands in geekiness like Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, Minecraft, Legend of Zelda, Marvel, Game of Thrones, DC Comic, and Geek Labs. And they sell a whole bunch of things like collectibles, electronics and gadgets, t-shirts and apparel, gifts. They sell it all over at Think Geek. And they have free shipping on orders over $75 or a flat $6.95 US standard shipping to all places in the US. So when you're ready to check out the range over at Think Geek, the online geek superstore, just use our link to go over to Think Geek over at geek-io.net/thinkgeek. That gives us a little bit of a kickback on what you buy. Don't worry, we're not stealing your shoe size or asking you for a blood sample. It's okay. We're only getting a kickback from what you buy. We don't actually see what you buy from Think Geek. Join in, geek out, Think Geek. We thank Think Geek for their support of the Geek.io Podcast Network.
Whether we're waking you up or putting you to sleep, this is the Generic Live Show. Thanks for joining us here on the Generic Live Show, where we unmute our microphones. It's a fantastic new concept. You should try it sometime, Dale. Thanks for joining us. It's good to be here. Now we've got suggestions from the chat room on what we should send to outer space, apart from this show. Apart from sending 10-second snippets of this show, we should apparently send the Geek.io theme music, the mantra of Geek.io out. That ruined my punchline. I ruined my punchline. We should send the infamous Geek.io theme music into outer space. We should do the infamous quack.mp4 in space. Could you imagine this in space? In space. You can imagine that in space. Techie Gamer in the chat says Wrecking Ballo. Although Wrecking Ball, I'm sure is there a tech no version of Wrecking Ball that we could send? All right, let's see here. That's not. What is this? We can send that into space. Let's send that into space. Let's whatever this is. There you go. We'll send that, and now we're banned. All right, let's not do that. Came in like a rook. Alright. What was that? DJ Dale on the decks. Alright, so men are drinking more rosé. Have fun. Thanks for joining us. Dale Campbell, 11:57. No. Rosé. We're calling it hashtag Rosé Revival, or at least this article is saying Rosé Revival. Oh, there you go. We could send Professor Shy Guy's version of Wrecking Ball into space. You can send this into outer space. Let's send this. Hang on, it's not loading. There we go. All right. There we go. I wonder if Professor Shy Guy would be into this sort of thing. Alright, someone send a message to Professor Shy Guy and go, hey, do you want to beam your music into out of space? I'm sure let's all get on that. Alright. The Rosé Revival. Quick, someone. Bring this show back on the rails. We're nearly done. Forget your craft beers, grab a bottle of pink stuff and have fun. As I knock my microphone off. The collections of Rosé are providing a hit with the ordinary Aussie guy. Quote, we certainly see a change between now and 5 to 6 years ago. These days, men are more likely to try Rosé when we see it in a cellar door, he says. Just this year, we're doubling our production of Rosé. Mr. Ray told Sunday Morning Telegraph the job was even more popular with a game of footy. Ooh. Right. Game of sports ball. You can drink your rosé. Have fun. So men like more flavor in their wines, and that's what they're seeking with a rosé. Over the last 5 years, not just men, but more and more people have been drinking rosé. The quality increased sustainably and has more attention to detail. He says the color shouldn't be an issue because men are now drinking rosé because they're not ashamed of the color. And why not? You know, there's nothing wrong with pink. He says, looking around his desk, seeing like five 6 things that are pink. But there you go. Men are drinking pink wine, and people are beaming songs into outer space. 2017, ladies and gentlemen, end of the year is coming soon. Thank you everyone for joining us here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday. It's been a pleasure as always. I've been Dale Campbell. You can find this show at geek-io.net. We're a proud member of the Geek.io network. I've been Dale Campbell, youtube.com/geek.io show, youtube.com/Generic Live Show. You can find the pre-show and the post-show at youtube.com/Generic Live Show. And I feel like the post-show is going to be a good one now. And facebook.com/Generic Live Show, Generic Live Show at gmail.com, patreon.com/geek.io, tinyurl.com/generic store. I have way too many links. I should put them in the doc sometime and just pump that. Alright. Thank you everyone for joining us. It's Dale Campbell here with you. Thanks for joining us. It's a pleasure as always. It's 12:01.
This has been a Geek.io Media Network production. Copyright 2017.